These are very much, the goal of this conference is to get lots of ideas in front of you, and ideally some school folks, some superintendents, some principals, counselors, teachers go home with ideas of strategies they might want to try, and you can reach out to the people on the program. And with that, are you setting up yours now? Yep. And with that in mind, the next set of panelists will talk about three interesting initiatives, one in the upper left-hand corner of Arkansas, one in the Delta region of Arkansas, and one across the state. So if you can make your way to the stage, Josh, Gabe, and Taylor, and Shane Broadway will be on his way. He's not here yet, but we imagine he will be here. We're going to first hear from Josh Rainey and Taylor Scott from the Razor Coaches program, and here comes Shane Broadway now. A college mentoring and access coaching program in Northwest Arkansas. That will be followed by Gabe Fotzing, the founder and CEO of the College Initiative, which works with students in the Delta region, which will be followed by Shane Broadway, the director of the Arkansas Department of Higher Ed, who will talk about his Arkansas Works program. So let's welcome the panel, and we'll start with Josh and Taylor. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you very much. We are excited to be here, part of this conference. We're the Razor Coach program at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I'm Josh Rainey. I'm the director of the program, and this is Taylor Scott. She's one of our career coaches. We're going to tell you a little bit about what we do to support college and career readiness in Northwest Arkansas. We place career coaches in schools in Washington, Benton County. The program is a partnership between the University of Arkansas's College of Education and Health Professions, the Northwest Arkansas Regional Council, our local co-op, and we're funded through the Walton Family Foundation. These partners came together and decided it would be a perfect fit to house our program and the counselor education program at the U of A, utilize graduate students who are master's, doctorate students in the counseling program to go out and be career coaches in the high schools and work with students. Our mission as a program is to support and motivate Northwest Arkansas students in grades 10 through 12 to increase their knowledge and access to educational and career opportunities beyond high school. Our interventions are focused on developing proactive behaviors, self-awareness, and exploring college and career readiness. Dr. Kristen Higgins and Dan Kissinger, our counseling faculty, they're members of our program, as well as myself, the director. And then we have 15 career coaches who go out and actually work in the high schools and work one-on-one with students. We're currently partnering with 13 different school districts. We have coaches in 15 different schools in Northwest Arkansas. Our schools vary a lot in size. We have schools from 200 to 4,000 with a student body. The majority of these students qualify for free and reduced lunch, as well as almost a quarter of them are at risk of dropping out. We strive to make this a true partnership with our schools. We work with them throughout the planning process to help us identify students that they want to target. We provide them a list of criteria. We look at students that are minorities, free and reduced lunch, first-generation college students, students who may be failing end-of-course exams, low attendance, GPAs around that 2.0 range, so a wide variety of criteria. And then we work with the schools very closely to see what their needs are and see what students that they may think that would really benefit from this program. So throughout that process, we stay in constant communication. We send out newsletters and listen to their feedback, try to find out, what are we doing that you think's working, what may not be working, so we continually develop strong programs and services for those students. And ultimately, it'll be a win-win for everyone involved. We want to benefit the students. We want to provide a resource to the schools and a coach, and as well as provide hands-on experience for these coaches before they go out and become counselors themselves. In our 2 years of operation, we're a 3-year funded program. We're in our second year. In those 2 years, we've targeted 3,300 students. We've had 1,300 that have applied to the program. We've got about 375 slots that are available each year. That's about 25 students, new students each year per coach. And as a result, we've served 715 students in those 2 years. This year, we're actually serving 520. We've got a little over 350 that we work with on a weekly basis. Those are new students to the program this year. And then we have almost a little over 160 that are returning students from the previous year that work with a coach on a monthly basis to kind of do that check-in, that follow-up, and make sure that they're still on track to reach their goals. The majority of our students are juniors. For us, it seems to be a good starting point. Build that foundation before they head off to their senior year. to start that process of actually applying to colleges, applying for scholarships. The majority of our students are minorities, 31% are Hispanic. And then for this year, we have a very large number of first-generation college students. 35% of the parents of those students only finished high school, and almost a third didn't even finish high school. But again, these are students who may also be failing end-of-course exams, may have low attendance rates, things like that. So it's a very diverse group of students that we work with. Even so, they are students that have high aspirations. They want to go to college, they want to have successful careers, they just may not have that support system, that access to resources, that knowledge to actually go out and achieve those goals. The foundation of our program is built around social and cognitive career theory. So coaches do an intake and outtake interview with the students to assess their outcome expectations, their self-efficacy, looked at what they think are perceived barriers and supports. And they work on that throughout the year to create SMART goals, to build confidence toward their career goals, whether it be aligning them with the type of education they're going to need, navigating a college website, visiting a college. We also build our curriculum around different areas such as career exploration, college exploration, FAFSA financial aid, entrance exams, and pro-academic behaviors such as time management, study skills, and test taking skills. Our coaches use a set of timelines that kind of guide them throughout the year, and that's broken down per grade level. So that's what they kind of use as their guidance tool. But they also utilize a lot of different outside resources, identify different resources that they can use, even creating resources they can use with their students. So it's not really a cookie cutter program. Again, it's tailored to the individual needs of the students, tailored to the individual needs of the schools. So it really varies from student to student, from school to school. And I'll let Taylor tell you about what they do.
All right, so I'm one of the lucky coaches that gets to work with high schoolers on a weekly basis. I currently work with 23 juniors and have 23 seniors who I worked with more frequently last year. And our typical days work with using that framework of the curriculum, of the different curriculum areas that we go through with each of our students, but it's really tailored to what they need individually. So if we have a student who is doing great with their GPA, but they need more experience figuring out what it means to go to college, what a college website looks like, what requirements do they need to be paying attention to, we're gonna spend more time with them. Some of my students are struggling very much academically, so I spend a larger majority of my time working with them on goals for high school classes, tying that into the different college requirements for admissions and that sort of thing. We work individually with students. We also work sometimes small groups and sometimes even large groups when we're giving a big presentation about a specific topic area and that sort of thing. But it all ties into their goals, working on their confidences, and again, like what he was saying, we do our intake and outtake interviews with our students, and it has been great to just kind of see the transformation of self-awareness that our kids have of themselves after working with us in this program. We've done a couple events this year that have been new this year to really help students continue with their career and college exploration. FAFSA is one that none of my students had any knowledge of or experience with because actually all of my students are first-generation college students, and this is a big hurdle that they have in terms of getting that financial support, knowing what it means to fill out all those complicated questions on the FAFSA, or even knowing that grants and work study and loans are out there for them. So we put on a FAFSA night at the college this year. Students came, listened to presenters, and even had the opportunity to then go up into the computer labs with their parents and with us as support to help finish the FAFSA. I had one senior who finished the whole thing that night, which was awesome. We also did a campus visit to the U of A this year, where we brought over 150 of our current students to the U of A to just see what a campus was like, get experience from admissions. And when I debriefed with my students, I had students in about 3 different camps. I had some who had always thought, oh, well, the U of A is just next door to us. I don't really need to pay attention. I want to go somewhere else. They came and just loved it and were really excited that it was so close and was so accessible. I had some that were just reaffirmed that this was where they wanted to go. They saw a bunch of new resources that they didn't know about, but they were excited about. And then I had some who, because I work with some students who have very low GPAs, they're not quite at the level to be ready for admission right now for the U of A, but it just gave extra motivation to work harder so that they could go to a community college and then transfer over to the U of A.
We do go through an annual evaluation process. We're currently in our second year, but our first year, some highlights that some things that we saw that were really impactful were in ACT scores. Especially at some of our schools, we had some students that were in the Razor Coach program scoring up to 3 points higher than those that weren't in the program. Students were also seeming to be more accountable towards their schoolwork, towards their future plans, as well as Taylor said, becoming more self-aware. So those students who at the beginning of the year who are real confident they may be four-year college material, as the year went on, became more self-aware that there may be some other options that were better aligned with them. So a number of our students are applying to technical school, taking the 2-year college route or community college route, as well as maybe going to the military or even just getting a job out of high school to get some foundation, some footing under them before they go on to continue their education. In talking with just our Razor Coach students, they were overwhelmingly excited about the program. We had students that at the beginning of the year felt like they were completely lost, didn't know what they wanted to do. And as the year went on, we were applying to college, landing scholarships. One that really hit home was a student up at Elkins High School, stated that she not only learned a lot from the program, that felt like there was somebody there that really cared about her. And I think that's really the unique part of this program, is that it's that individual person who can come, the student can feel open to talk about their interests and needs in, and then that person can help align them to things that are really tailored to them.
And I'll just share a couple more of my student success stories. And remember, I'm just one coach of 15. There are 15 other coaches who are working with multiple students with their own success stories. But I started out with, last year, my juniors that I had, most of them had below a 2.5 when I started working with them. Seeing them now at their end of senior year, some of them have increased their overall GPA by 0.5, 0.4, and 0.3, which is huge success, especially when they're starting with a 1.3 or a 1.6 GPA. I'm really excited. I was looking at all of their grades this past week. All of my seniors that I've been working with have actually increased their overall GPA by at least a small amount this year, which has been wonderful. I had one student who, when I started working with her, was failing 5 classes, and her senior year has passed every single one of them, so I'm very proud of her. This year, in terms of goal setting, all of my juniors that I'm working with have identified a safety school that they're going to apply to that they know that they can for sure get into, while also identifying reach schools that they may be more competitive and not just as sure to get into, or they may still be striving to reach that GPA goal or that ACT score to be admissible into that program. We also set ACT test scores, set goals for GPAs, etc. Part of the self-awareness piece that I've been really excited about is most of my students identified at the beginning of the year that money was a huge problem in terms of thinking about going to college. They thought they won't have the money, it's just not going to be something that's going to work for them. And when we did these outtake interviews with them these past couple weeks, all of them kind of transformed the language that they were using based on some of the information we'd been going over. They're now talking about how grants are available, work study, they're going to fill out their FAFSA next year, and they really disagree that only people with money can go. They know that they can find it in different places. And one of my students also said he just really enjoyed this program because he felt like he wasn't alone in navigating this college unknown. He was seeing other students who are also struggling and finding their ways, and he found comfort in that, and also having someone to encourage him and work with him through the process.
And as I said, we're in our second year. We're gearing up for our third year right now, looking forward to doing our annual evaluation. We're collecting data on that, and we're really confident that in this year's evaluation, we'll really see a lot of impact, especially with students who've been in the program 2 years. They've been working with a coach now for 2 years, so we're excited about seeing those outcomes. We'll be moving forward now, trying to see if we can grow and expand and continue the program, so we're in search of funding to see if we can do that at this point. And then we're gearing up for training and recruitment for next year. There's no slowing down, as you know, the school year. It's summertime, but the work never stops. So we're bringing in some new coaches. We'll be training them, already planning for recruitment for the next year, so we can hit the ground running right when that fall semester starts. So that's what we do in Northwest Arkansas to support career and college readiness. If you want to learn more about us, check us out on our website or Facebook. We've got some flyers that we'll make available out front if you want to take one home with you, and we look forward to answering any questions that you may have. Just pass it up.
I am gonna be taking a very different approach, so bear with me. My name is Gabriel Fatzing. I am the founder and CEO of the College Initiative, and I'm gonna tell you why I started the College Initiative. So about 14 years ago, I came to the United States. I went to high school in Houston, Texas. I went to 3 different high schools in Houston, Texas. My parents wanted me to go to college, but they told me very plainly that they didn't have the money to pay for it. So it was up to me to figure out how to pay for my college education. So my journey started just like some of the students that Taylor works with. And I was fortunate enough that I had people around me who believed in me and helped me through the process in terms of not just my counselors, but also other students who were going through the process who were a little bit ahead of me. Through that process, I was fortunate enough, I applied to 10 schools when I was a senior in high school because I realized that I needed to apply to safety schools, to match schools, and also to reach schools. And fortunately enough, I was accepted to all of them. And I chose to go to Harvard University because at the time they started, like a year ahead of me, they started the Harvard Financial Aid Initiative, which meant that if your family made less than $65,000 a year, then your parents didn't have to pay a cent. So my parents were very happy. So I went to Harvard, and 4 years later, I graduated with a degree in economics and decided to join Teach for America. At the time I started Teach for America, my younger sister was starting high school. So we sat down and she told me plain blank that she wanted to go to Brown University. So I was like, okay, if you want to go to Brown, these are the things that you need to be doing freshman year, these are the things that you need to be doing sophomore year, these are the things that you need to be doing junior year and senior year. So we crafted that 4-year plan. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna do those things. What I realized is that when I started teaching, I taught at Lee County Senior High School in Marianna, Arkansas. I taught AP Biology, Physical Science, and French. And at the time, a lot of my students who were graduating my first year of teaching were coming to me the senior spring and say, hey, Mr. Fatzing, can you help me out with my college application? I'm like, whoa, you're a senior. This is something that you should have worked on at the very least, last semester. So I realized that there was a need for a program to walk the students I was teaching through this process because like most students in the Delta, they were extremely low income. Like Lee High School is 100% free and reduced lunch. And most of them were also first generation. So that's how the college initiative started. So we started in 2011. I worked with 2 students that year. And they're both still in college right now. One is at the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. And the other one is at WashU in St. Louis. He's majoring in computer science and economics. And they both will be graduating next year. So I'm very excited to go to their graduation next year. So we went from 2 students to this year we serve about 85 students throughout 7 schools in the Delta. And I'm happy to report that 100% of our students have been accepted to 4 years university. So I'm very excited about that over the past 3 years. And about 95% of them are still in college. So what I realized through this entire process is that a lot of our students are very talented. That's a given. They just need the guidance to make that transition from high school to college. You just need someone to say, hey, these are the things that you do your freshman year, your sophomore year, your junior year, and your senior year. If you're given that opportunity, if you give them that mentorship, they will surprise you. And one of those surprises also happened this year. When I started this program, I had this very, very selfish goal of getting one of my students to go to Harvard. And I am happy to report that this year, one of our students will be attending Harvard in the fall. And she's just the beginning. I believe that there's a lot of talented students in the Delta that we've yet to reach. And like the people in Northwest Arkansas right now, we are trying to expand our programming. Like, we're trying to be in 12 different schools across the Delta in Arkansas, and also to be in 4 schools next year on the Mississippi side. And right now, all we need is the funding and the human capital. So anybody who's out there who wants to come back to the Delta and work with our students, please let me know. I would love to talk to you guys more. And that's pretty much all I had to say.
Thank you, Gabriel. I've heard nothing but great things about the work that you're doing over there, so thanks for all you're doing. To Josh and Taylor, thank you as well. Wonderful presentation. Good morning, everyone. Just making sure you're still awake. I know Ken James is over here. Are you there? Okay. I'm not sure if he's tweeting, texting, or napping. I'm Shane Broadway, Director of the Arkansas Department of Higher Education, and I'm honored to be here today on behalf of my fellow colleagues on the Governor's Workforce Cabinet to talk about Arkansas Works. But in talking about Arkansas Works, you pretty well have already heard all about it because of what these guys talked to you about. I think I've got a presentation here. Do I? There. That wasn't mine. That was yours, Gabriel. I liked it better without it. Arkansas Works actually grew out of an initiative when Governor Beebe first came into office. Some of you probably heard the story, if you'll recall, back when Arkansas lost the Toyota plant to Mississippi. A lot of the discussion with the company at the time and with industry that continues today is that they would not be able to hire the workers they needed to be able to put into that plant because they were not available in the area. And that many employers were interviewing 1,000 people to hire 10. And it was taking of their time and resources. It was not very productive for their company. So the first initiative that came about with Arkansas Works was the Career Readiness Certificate, which some of you may administer and some of you probably know a lot about. We are well over 50,000 Arkansans who have now gone through the Career Readiness Certificate process that identifies the skill level they have, even though they may not have a degree and may only have a high school diploma or less. So that was the first piece that really brought Arkansas Works together. The next component, and one that I'm here to talk more about today, is the Career Coaches Program. And the Razor Coach program grew out of the Career Coaches program. Senator John Brown back here invited myself and Sonia Wright McMurray of the Career Education Department to Springdale to speak to the Northwest Arkansas Council because they had heard about the idea and the initiative, and it was something they wanted to pursue in Washington and Benton counties. And that's how that program came together. The Arkansas Career Coach program, when it was formed, it was put together by the Governor's Workforce Cabinet, which is every entity, every state agency that has something to do with education or workforce or economic development. It's a group that we meet monthly, and I think in the long term, I say this often in terms of, because he hates when I say the word legacy, in terms of Governor Beebe's legacy, one of the best things that he did as governor was requiring all of those agencies to sit in a room once a month with one another. Those who were around in the initial beginnings can tell you that the first few meetings did not go so well. A lot of barriers, a lot of silos. Am I saying it correctly? But over time, as people continue to work together, there was a realization that we could do things together and pool resources, even though they be limited, pool resources together to try to help students around the state. So Career Coaches was formed initially focusing on 21 of the state's Tier 1 counties, and that is essentially the state's poorest counties. It has since grown into Razor Coaches, as well as a grant from the Rockefeller Foundation to place coaches in 3 high schools in Pulaski County that were considered dropout factories, Little Rock Hall, Fair, and McClellan, I believe. But we have, the key, I think, to the success of career coaches has been that the coaches are housed at a college. They are employed by the 2-year institution, in our case, of the career coaches, but work with various school districts. One of the challenges, and I was reminded of this the other day, to all of my friends in the school business here, I was at Bologna and Mayflower high schools last week. We had staff there to assist students with their financial aid process because all of their documents were blown away, a lot of other scenarios. But I was reminded just how much you have on your plate. The principal, assistant principal, and especially the counselor. We dealt with 2 magnificent counselors, 2 people who I greatly admire for the way they have bent over backwards to try to help their students, to apply for scholarships and apply for college and those kind of things, nights, weekends. It just further placed my admiration in them and respect for them. But they are also, I think will tell you too, they don't have enough time to focus on those types of things. Working directly with students early on about careers and the opportunity for college. And so the slogan that we've kind of all used as part of the workforce cabinet about career coaches relating to these students is you cannot be what you cannot see. And many of the students in the areas that we are serving with the Career Coach program are students who come from a background and a home life where education is not always valued, where they're not having it reinforced when they go home at night, and there's not a member of their family who has been beyond a high school diploma, and many have not had a high school diploma at all. So it is trying to reinforce into these students that yes, you can be anything you want to be, and showing them that example by taking them to campus. One story I'll tell real quickly. There was a group that was taken to the University of Arkansas, a group of students who had never been out of the city in which they live, had never seen many sights that a lot of us are blessed and take for granted sometimes. They go to the University of Arkansas. It's the first time they've ever had a shirt and tie on, and the first time they've ever seen a buffet. And the University of Arkansas nearly closed that day because those kids ate so much food. But a lot of times we take that for granted. I got to go and take a college tour and go to several colleges before making my decision, but a lot of these kids do not have that opportunity. There's no one there to reinforce the importance that yes, you can have a better way of life than what you currently have. And so that's why I'm a huge supporter of career coaches. I think the challenge we all face, Razor coaches, career coaches, is the long-term sustainability of the program. It's currently only in those 21 counties. We have 17 colleges who are involved. The law allows anyone to do it, but it really comes back to funding. And it's, I'm sure, long-term on their minds in terms of how do you sustain this long-term, but also in our minds. Randy Zook's the chairman of our Council on Post-Secondary Readiness. One of the discussions we've had is how do we take this to every county? How do we take this to every school district? Knowing the resources that you have, the limits on some of those resources, the limits on some of your staff and their ability to work with these students, how do we roll this out statewide? Commissioner and I, who's now going to be my new school superintendent, were meeting the other day with the foundation, and that's what we were talking about was how do we, I kind of spoke up after we sat there and talked. I said, every school district should have someone who that is their only job. Now, in certain school districts, it's going to take more than one person probably, but that is their only task, is to work with each and every kid, and I'm talking about every kid. Whether there's a belief in potential that they can go somewhere or not, a lot of these kids, like they were talking about, do have the potential to go beyond high school. It does not necessarily mean they have to start out going out after a bachelor's degree. But every child has potential, and we have to empower them to understand that there is that opportunity, especially now with the Academic Challenge Scholarship, There are students who are going and accessing college who never would have been able to afford to go and do that because of those dollars and other dollars that the legislature has given to us. So it's very important, and I think long-term, if you're looking at ideas that I think are that can make a significant difference, and that was the thing that Commissioner and I were talking about, is not just helping them get there, but also staying in contact once they're there. Because the college that they're going to doesn't know them. They're going to have academic advisors and other people on campus that are going to try to help them, but you've been around them for 12 years. You know their mom and dad. You know their grandmother and grandfather. You know everything about them and everything about their background. And I think high schools and colleges working together can connect back and forth to help those students, to help them. When they enter college, a lot of times it's a whole new world. They don't know where to go and what to do. And so I think there's a lot that can be done. But let me, you can see, I think on the screen, it's going to be hard for me to read, but you can see, actually I guess we're now in 28 counties. This is an updated map. In 51 school districts, you can see the counties that are located there. The funding primarily, and this is the challenge, a lot of the funding comes from our agency. We have a federal grant for College Access Challenge. That grant may be there next year, and it may not. We're currently okay until the end of next fiscal year, but beyond that, we're hoping to go to the General Assembly to try to keep the program going. But we have certainly seen some successes. There are various parts and pieces of this program, such as Cooter Navigator for the students to look at what they maybe want to do in their careers, ACT Academy to try to improve their ACT scores, and others. But here's kind of where where it really tells you about the importance. A 15% increase in the average of these students in these schools who are now taking SmartCore. That's significant. Almost 20% increase in the college going rate, just in the counties and schools that we're serving. And this is over 3 years. About a 0.5% average increase on their ACT scores. And a decrease of a little over 6% in the remediation rate of these students. Here's another significant one. 32% average increase in the number of students enrolled in the senior class applying for financial aid. A lot of those students would have just fallen off the radar somewhere, unfortunately. And so I'm very grateful we have this program. I think it's something that, in my tenure being at the department, is one of the best programs that I've witnessed, that I think is truly making a difference, especially for low-income students who've never been told that they have the option of going beyond high school. So thank you for this opportunity to be with you. Great job to all of you, and I hope you have a great day.
So thank you very much to the panelists. We don't have time for individual questions because we had the engaging presentations. Please reach out to these folks if you can in the interim. Reed Greenwood our own Reed Greenwood from the College of Education and Health Professions is going to come up and start off by moderating a panel, but let's quickly thank the panelists here.